Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to visit the US Capitol building. We're going to take a full tour of inside, tell you how you can visit it, and this is of course one of the most iconic buildings and most important structures in the entire United States. This is as comprehensive a tour as you're going to find. We're going to take you to multiple buildings so you can see exactly what's inside the Capitol and help you understand if it's worth your time to visit. What most folks don't realize is visiting the Capitol is absolutely free and it's easy. As long as you have a computer, you can book a time slot. It only gets busy during the summer. What you're looking at right now is a glass roof, and that'll come into play later on. And we are at the back of the Capitol, facing away from the mall. So the reason why I'm showing you this is because I want to point out that building right there. That is the Library of Congress, and on the other side is the US Supreme Court. Both of those buildings are highlighted on my channel, but also one of the reasons I'm back here is because this is how you enter the basement portion of the Capitol. You walk to the back and you walk in, and then you go downstairs in the main hall, and that's where they check your tickets. This is the glass ceiling you saw when you were outside, and it fills the entire room with natural light. When you get into this space, don't rush ahead and get a ticket. I recommend you take your time. You're going to have plenty of it. Walk around and explore the space. There are plenty of historic statues of figures that are unique to American history. Go ahead and take a look, explore, read about them, get to know the area a little bit better. If you don't know much about the US Capitol, not to worry, because your tour starts out in this theater, which gives you a background history of the US Capitol. Now, this next part right here is very important, especially if you want to have the best experience possible, because this is where you get assigned your tour guides. As you can see, you walk up to the person that you want to, be your tour guide. They'll give you this headphone. This headphone is absolutely critical. I'll go over that a little bit later on, but your tour guide is going to be the key as to whether or not you have a great experience. The best way to pick the right tour guide for you is to just have a general conversation with them. If they seem like they're fun, jovial, like they know a lot about the US Capitol, then more than likely that's going to be a safe bet. Now, this was my tour guide, and he was absolutely incredible. He knew everything there is to know about the US Capitol, and what he's doing right now is giving you an explanation about different aspects of the Capitol. And in a minute, you're going to hear about the old Supreme Court. So let's listen in and see what that sounds like.
We just stepped through the doorway into the oldest part of the Capitol building. Now, in the plan, this wing was going to be the Senate wing, but everybody has to cram in here in 1800. So this room, even though it says Supreme Court chamber in 1800, is the Senate chamber. We're going to see a ceiling in there that was not there in 1800. Big, tall, ridiculously tall. The Library of Congress is up on the third floor, and the Supreme Court right wherever they could find space. If you look at the original plan of the city by Pierre L'Enfant, we knew where the Capitol was going, we knew where the White House was going. There's no thought of where the court was. And everybody was okay with the court sharing the building with Congress, albeit they thought it was going to be temporary. It ends up being 135 years. So all those cases we learned about in early American history all happened. Interesting to have the legislature and the court pass this law, and just a few years later you're going to rule against it or for it. Interesting. Yeah, it happens a lot.
In that little blurb that you just heard, it sounded very echoey, almost like if you were in the back, it would be hard to hear him. However, the reality is, because he has a microphone and it amplifies his voice, and you have those headphones on, no matter where he is, it sounds like he is right in front of you. In this tour, there are two rooms that really stood out that were my absolute favorite. Now, if you've ever seen the Capitol building from the outside, it has a huge dome, and I always wondered what inside that dome looks like. And you're about to enter that room. This room is massive. Look at these life-size paintings that are in there. But the most important feature and the most decorative piece of this room, in my opinion, is right up, and you're going to see that in just a minute. As you tour the Capitol, you are going to see an abundance of statues. Usually they are of presidents and people who have made a significant impact on American history. If you want to learn more about each one, just read the information podium that's usually right next to them. I like the fact that you didn't always have to be right next to your guide in order to hear and understand what you're looking at. You'll see two folks right there, they have their backs turned to him. That's because as long as they have their headphones on, you can walk around and explore the room and still hear what your guide is saying. So that way you really don't miss anything. Those of you who know my channel know that I specialize in fun and interesting things for individuals and families to do in the DC metro area. So if you're looking for something to do, please check out my channel. Whenever you think of the US Capitol, you think of the president in the Senate chamber addressing both houses of Congress and making a State of the Union address. Well, that part of the Capitol is not a part of this tour. However, the old Senate chamber is, and it is absolutely beautiful. As you look around, you see that it is very ornate, very decorative, an absolutely beautiful room. One of the most beautiful rooms I've ever seen in my entire life. Something that surprised me about this tour was how much of a massive learning experience this was. I thought we would just walk around and security would be there to make sure we didn't touch anything, but it was constantly learning about the US Capitol, how it evolved and how it's changed and how it's developed into the place it is today. I learned that each state sends 2 statues to the Capitol, which explains why maybe there's so many statues all over the place. But I thought it was fun and interesting to try to find the statues that represented my state. If you were wondering whether or not you'd run into members of the Senate or the House of Representatives, well, you're probably going to be out of luck. They're not in this area, so don't hold your breath. I love the feeling of not being married to my guide. However, be cautious because this is one building you definitely don't want to get lost in.